do a clinical trial and, oh, I have 20 people and here's my data set. There isn't a large enough data set. Networking this across the country lets us get drugs, which is, not that it helps us find a treatment and a way of actually becoming healthier people. It's the most cost-effective way to solve the problems we keep coming up to.
Okay. Nancy?
To underscore that, right now, if this virus turned out to be the best thing, and even if it did respond to antiretrovirals, there's not a chance that we could put together a phase 3 clinical trial in an expeditious fashion. We do not have the infrastructure. And that would be very, very sad.
Yeah, I think there's so many positives. I'd like to call the question, but before I do, I think just so people knows that we're being above board and honest, if we call the question and we vote for this, I would like it to be understood that Wanda and I will take that recommendation that was made several times and in different ways, with and without a money figure, and try to come up with something that reflects just what Nancy said, that a rapidly developing of a clinical trial sites that could link together and do phase 3 studies. We have a lot of experience to draw on those of us who've done this with the AIDS clinical trial groups. So we don't, we move this along in the way we want to. If we vote yes, I would like it with the understanding that I will work with Wanda and then send it to this group. We'll make sure we all can sign on, make some suggestions and changes if necessary. And then this particular recommendation, I think, comes with it the inherent need for the committee leadership to meet with the Secretary of Health and Human Services or her immediate designee, and to get this going. So I'd like to call a question with those understandings, if that's okay.
If I may, just in terms of general parameters, based on what I'm hearing for the recommendation, so it's clear. It's not just to rubber stamp what's here, but perhaps to raise the opportunity that the finding of XMRV or whatever the next finding might be, the need to have infrastructure that assembles the patients and has well-established networks whereby the necessary studies can be carried out. And in that vein, so it takes these, but actually perhaps puts a little bit different in an opportunity framework on what these, rather than, center of excellence. Everybody says there's a center of excellence for everything, but
we forward the recommendation with an additional rationale to be outlined by you and Wanda, and then circulated.
I'd just like the committee to have a sense of what it is you want this recommendation to look like, because we're on the record with this webcast, and we're just going to be tweaking and fine-tuning.
But I don't want to narrow it down to, say, the network that we were trying to do at Banbury. It has to be quite a bit broader than that, because we're also trying to get access to care.
Exactly.
And that's a huge piece to it.
Yep.
And education and training, and there's a lot of elements to it. So while the network that the Banbury meeting was trying to develop, and I think Eleanor's worked hard to try to get going, that's a piece of it, but it's not the whole thing at all.
Yeah.
Okay?
I think the three legs of the stool, teaching, education, and research, those major things need to be reflected in this type of a funded center. Okay, we'll work on that at the break. Is that okay?
Can we call the question? We can vote?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to ask, please call the question with all those as part. I'm waiting for someone to say, I can't do that. I'm the chair. All right, Christine, call the question. All those in favor? I believe it's unanimous.
And the ex officios cannot vote?
No.
Ex officios can't vote on this.
Okay.
All right. Okay, that's great. Now, if you turn to...
Or whatever.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Let's go through the rest of them now. because some of these were I thought, well thought out. If you can remember those late, everyone running into the train, but some people staying, so we had a quorum. So let's go back to some of those. Which one would you like to go to?
RFA that Eleanor alluded to when she gave her statement yesterday. What's the timing of that, Eleanor? What year?
Mike, please.
Please, Mike, for...
Sorry.
No, sure, go ahead.
Probably we'll be getting it ready for release in 2011.
11. Okay.
Well, fiscal year, which means
The money is released in 11, or the call is released in 11.
it'll be simultaneous, and we have to work up to it.
Okay.
We have to.
So that's actually 5 years after this resolution.
So that it will be initiating this.
Okay.
Didn't you have one in 2008?
Now, it's 5 years more, but I don't know.
It seems like a year too slow.
I think the question is, what can be done now? The time is now. The energy is now. What can be done now, whether it's NIH, CDC, or something else? I think we're looking for action now and not trying to forecast 18 months out. And
Okay.
so-
But I think what the question on that particular resolution is, we asked for an RFA to be established to stimulate research, and it sounds like it's going to be coming out next year, which is...
They'll come out. I mean, the thing is we need to update the current one with all the things that we've learned from the ones that are underway and everything that we've known since, and we'll update that and release it so there basically won't be an interruption.
Okay. So I guess that's more of an immediate response, which is what I guess we were looking for. Yes?
Yes, I think that's what we are looking for.
No, I'm sorry. All looking for.
I'm just wondering if maybe Eleanor could comment on the process of how kind of RFAs actually get developed, support for. If you could just tell us something about that process, we might have a better understanding of some of the time issues involved.
Well, I mean, that's why it has to take time. Because first of all the members of the working group have to develop it. The first thing that has to happen is that I have to get agreement from my director that she will put up X million dollars as she did in the other one. So in case none of the other institutes participate, we at least can fund some. And I know this will happen. So then the group will work on it. And it's like developing a grant proposal. You know all the work that goes into that. We have to provide all the background and so on, and develop the questions that we hope you will answer and so on, and which means we'll bring it up to date with current knowledge, some of which will be unpublished by the time we do it. And then the institutes sign on at will, and many of the institutes on the working group have signed on to the current one, and they agreed to fund certain ones that were specific to their institutes fully without our help. I mean, there are some being funded that we fund fully, although the institute gets credit because we have to fund them through the institute. But for example, Jim Baraniuk's proteomics in spinal fluid proteomic profile is funded fully by NIEHS because of the environmental implications and so on. And so the institutes do come to the table and they do provide funds.
So just as a quick follow-up question, it sounds like the starting process is that your director says, yes, I will put some money available for an RFA. And once that happens and all these other steps occur...
And that's why I'm saying we're planning to do this.
Is there anything that our committee can do to either dialogue, encourage, kind of in some ways kind of talk about the timelines of which money becomes available?
The timeline can't change because of the way we have to develop it and the fact that the budgets have already been allocated. So it will happen. It happened last time. It was the exact same process. So it will happen. We are discussing it.
And federal budgeting process, we currently are supposedly as of October 1 in fiscal